Welcome back to Berlin, Germany. In the LEC, V stands for victory today as Vitality grabbed their first win in the LEC Spring 2022. And Perkz, thank you so much for joining me. We knew it was just a matter of time before the team started clicking, but what was different today compared to the first 3 games you had last week?
Hello. Well, what was different today was that we are actually playing first time together as a team. We had some sick people, including me. I got sick last week, like one day, basically the day before. I was feeling really bad and I had like a fever. And after the first day of playing, I was also like sweating in my bed really badly.
Oh no.
And Barney wasn't even in the office with us, but now he's back. As you guys could see on the cam, we are together. So it's just a huge buff that we are like actually feeling all good, and that we can be together in the room, because when you're playing S4 and I haven't even seen my teammate basically up until today, like the whole 3 weeks I'm here. It can be very demotivating and even like ruining for team atmosphere, right? So yeah, I mean, it's the circumstances we live under, right? So it is what it is. But yeah, I'm just super grateful that we are able to now start being together. Yeah.
It makes a big difference indeed, and thank you for sharing all that. I don't think I knew that you were all playing separately. I'm also very glad to learn that you're all feeling better and you're right on track for the LEC. Quick words on Vitality as a whole, because as you said, you didn't spend much time with your teammates. There's been strong words with the line of Vitality, the super team. How does that make you feel coming back to the LEC?
I mean, I think that we are definitely like a bit overhyped right now. I mean, being a new team, it's like really hard to be like really good as a team, you know, in the beginning. So a lot of like the ideas I think being a good team is mostly about being on the same page regarding everything you do, communicate, and how you play together, how you move together. And when the ideas are not the same and they're different, a lot of people are torn apart, you know, between their ideas and some other ideas. So that makes you play much worse, and it makes you just like think more about things you shouldn't even be thinking about, you know, like overthinking stuff where stuff shouldn't be overthought, and it's just so simple. So that combining with like the illness was definitely a problem for us, but I'm very glad with the teammates I have are surrounding me, because I feel like we're actually able to improve in scrims. And for example, the things like we give a task, you know, or we have something we want to improve on for this week, we actually do it, and we do show progress in it. So it just makes me very excited and hopeful for the future.
And we're excited as well. I mean, we know how far this lineup can go. So yeah, leading to the full potential of Vitality is going to be very exciting. But tomorrow is going to be even more exciting, because you'll be reunited on the Rift against Caps, against G2, your former team. How excited are you about this matchup?
I mean, I'm super excited. Yeah, I haven't given it like too much thought because of the X reasons given previously. But right now, we got the dub today, right? Which is obviously important. Doesn't matter who we faced. Like, I think we were our biggest enemies last week. I think today was pretty convincing. So I'm just looking forward to playing them. I think G2 is still a good team. Their new players are all quite good, honestly, as well. So it's gonna be a very hyped match. Obviously, playing against Caps and Jankos, you know, my friends. It's always like interesting, you know, to face enemies as enemies on the Rift. So yeah, I hope it's gonna be a fun match, though.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to this moment, Perkz. But well, for now, I want to say it's really good to have you back in Europe. Thank you so much for the interview. Congrats on picking up their first win, and we'll see you tomorrow on Match of the Week.
Thank you for having me.
And we have one last game to go through, so back to the studio for MAD Lions versus Rogue.
Congratulations. Welcome back. Fantastic interview there from Perkz. We are ready for our final match of the day, a battle between two of the best performing teams in week one. A new rivalry in Europe, especially since last year. Rogue and the Mad Lions went toe-to-toe in multiple playoff best-of-5s. I'm going to turn immediately to Vedius, and as our theme of the day, expectations versus reality, how did these two teams rate?
I think we have to be honest and say that they exceeded them. Obviously, people still rated these teams fairly highly. You know, when we looked at like preseason rankings, people were saying, you know, they should be around the middle of the pack. They'll still likely qualify for playoffs. I mean, some people even thought that Rogue would fall completely apart. But the fact that they showcased such strong performances, both teams, even with new additions to the roster that almost seamlessly fit into the working parts that already did so well for both organizations, I think that you can only say that both of them exceeded their week one expectations. And now there's a big spotlight on both these teams to see what they can bring today.
Well, both of these teams, of course, changed two players coming into the year. We liked what we saw last weekend, as you've already heard from Vedius. Let's talk about some of these new players starting in the bottom lane. Comp and Unforgiven, Trouble.
I feel like Comp gave one of the most heartfelt PGLs we have had, especially when he was asked about Hans Sama and how he feels feeling in his shoes. And he's like, I really hope I make, you know, Hans Sama's fans proud, especially after such a great run of Worlds. And he is making them proud because he's first on every single statistics there is out there. You can see it here on your screen as well. First in KDA, first in damage per minute, first in damage percentage, first in gold per minute. He has been doing fantastically, and I feel like he fits right into what he needs to do for Rogue. Now, when it comes to Unforgiven, because he's a name we haven't heard of a lot, because he hasn't necessarily been to EU Masters, but I know him because I've worked closely with him for a year. He is a type of ADC that loves dominating the bot lane. Now, playing for MAD Lions and playing right next to Kaiser, we all know that Kaiser likes to take a stroll towards the top side of the map and leaving Unforgiven alone, which is why Unforgiven has some of the lowest duo proximities in the entire league. But he's top 3 in statistics as well. So this guy has learned to adapt. And again, I'm going to give it to the coaching staff and the behind the scenes from MAD Lions, because they have allowed players and new rookies to feel comfortable, to feel in spots that they haven't had before.
Yeah. Definitely stepping up. I mean, that Carthus first game already sent a gigantic signal around their intentions.
Yeah, and I can't help but be impressed, because I think Comp was a person that many people had question marks around. He didn't have the best track record on Vitality. He then disappeared, and as you rightly said, filling in the shoes of Hans Sama. I think so far he's done a great job. But when we look at new players along onto the Rift, we have to talk about the jungle in particular in terms of Malrang, because he was a player that when you're taking on the responsibility of Inspired, that is a lot. And when we looked at Malrang as a player, many sat there and questioned, well, could he really challenge what Inspired brought to this team, what Inspired brought to the league? Inspired helped Rogue qualify for the World Championship, and Malrang, what was a sub for Damwon? Well, so far, I think that he has proven himself. You know? I think that he's really showcased a slight difference in terms of his impact in the early game. He's looking to gank a lot more than I would say Inspired would, and he really does like to try and enable his lanes. But also, he's just got a really good game sense. You can see that he seems to track the enemy jungler really well. He seems to be in the right place at the right time to set up for these counter ganks. And yeah, there are still many tough jungle opponents that he's going to be going up against in the future. But so far, I think both these new additions to Rogue have been doing a great job.
Now, of course, his opponent today is going to be Elyoya. Let's touch a little bit on his performance from last weekend. Standout player. I think I made the comment he was a super team of his own. Trouble, I mean, what do you think? I mean,
exactly. All over the board.
I mean, talk to me a little bit about how influential Elyoya was in also setting up these rookie players.
I find him extremely explosive as a jungler. He finds the tiniest opening and he will create it into a team fight, and it will be a stellar team fight. The way he was setting up Reeker onto that Diana was absolutely fantastic. Finding the ganks in the early game. They've created sort of like... So when I was writing down my notes about Elyoya, I literally wrote Elyoya and next to it, Bomba, in like caps. Because I find him such an explosive player, and I feel like all of the stats speak for himself, especially KDA 5.5 in 1 week. It's just insane.
I mean, extremely intelligent player, extremely proactive player. Vedius, we've seen 3 games from each of these teams. Can we draw any conclusions around their approach to the game?
We
and
definitely
maybe
can.
How these new players have impacted their play styles?
Yeah, because I think we have a very clear contrast in styles when we look at these two teams. MAD have showcased in week 1 that they want to be a very mid-focused team. This isn't too strange from when they had Humanoid on the roster as well, but Kaiser and Elyoya working as a duo primarily to play through mid right now seems to be in their game plan, obviously relying on the Yasuo-Diana combo. When you contrast that to Rogue, like, It's crazy to me that Larssen has a 0. He has a 0 K plus A at 14 minutes across 3 games. He has not been involved in any kills within the first 14 minutes of 3 games, which makes it, okay, so they just leave Larssen literally on an island in mid lane. And to his credit, he does pretty well in isolation, as he often does, but Rogue is a lot more about playing towards their side lanes. We saw how well Comp was set up for success. Odoamne also got a lot of resources in the early game, but I think we're going to see a lot more team fighting from Rogue this time around, especially from what we've been seeing from their drafts, which is ironic when we consider MAD was the former best team fighting team in Europe.
Scaling and team fighting. One-word answers. Who will win today?
I'm going to say Rogue.
I'm going to say Rogue as well.
The desk thinks
What?
Rogue has
Wow,
it favored. We're going to head
okay.
over to the caster desk to take us into the action.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. I will say, very fortunate neither of the desk thought MAD Lions were going to win, because Quickshot said one-word answers, and so it would just have been MAD. You can't say the whole team name.
And that would still have been the 3-letter name of the team.
Oh, that's true, actually. It would have been the acronym. Acronym's the one, I think. Anyway, MAD versus Rogue. The match of the day, to be sure. I'm Medic, that's Guldborg. We're here, we're ready. Let's do it! It's a matchup for the ages. And into the draft we jump. MAD on the blue, Rogue on the red. What are we going to see, Guldborg?
It's going to be interesting. This is actually Rogue's first red side game as well. Usually so far they've only been on the blue side as well, so we would most likely see new bans coming out from them. So far themselves, they have never banned Caitlyn, for example. That could be something they see themselves forced to do. On the side of MAD Lions, taking away one of Malrang's most popular champions so far, but Malrang actually, as a jungler, has only picked 3 different ones. Oh, I mean a different jungler every game so far, actually.
He's taken the Jhin, the Jarvan, and the Trundle against Astralis, of course, playing Zanzara's champion into him. Diana taken away from Elyoya. That Diana-Yasuo combo, something we saw from Elyoya and Reeker on day 1 of last week.
And there we go, MAD Lions actually themselves with the Caitlyn ban. It wouldn't surprise me to see Rogue invest more bans into the jungle department as well. The Lee Sin is something we've talked about. Akali also a champion up towards the top side to be reckoned with. But it looks like they want to take away the Twisted Fate. Obviously 100% presence as well. That champion is a little bit broken now that TP no longer is a thing and he can just teleport every 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised we haven't seen too much Ryze so far as well, just because of the Veil Warp. It's something that used to answer Twisted Fate, that and Silas. But of course, with Twisted Fate being banned away, I guess your mid laner doesn't have to roam as much because they don't have to match the Twisted Fate roams. Akali banned away by MAD Lions. Just such a powerful pick generally. Interested that it's a blue side ban, but
Exactly.
it shows maybe MAD Lions prioritized something else over this Akali and didn't want to give it to her.
Yeah, lots of priorities up now for MAD Lions as well. They've shown that they really like to get this Thresh from the side of Kaiser as well. It's only been allowed to him once so far. He picked it up immediately, so that's something they can look to go for as well. But outside of that, top lane picks, we know that both Odoamne and Armut, they love that Renekton too, and if there's 2 teams that was ever going to first pick a Renekton, it would be these 2, but no, it is just going to be Kaiser Thresh. They continue to show that this is just one of his favorite champions.
It definitely is, and because Unforgiven's so flexible in the AD carry or the bot lane role, it means you don't have to prioritize a Jinx or a Jhin, whereas Rogue, Comp has only played Jinx so far. Expectations are that he'll take that once again. Has had a very good start to the season, and so why change something that isn't broken for Rogue?
That's the thing. So far, Rogue has shown an immense priority on Viktor and on Jinx. Those has been like the 2 most picked champions. It doesn't say a lot after the first week, so my words doesn't have as much impact when I'm saying the most. But this is definitely 2 champions that they have shown a lot of interest in. Obviously, you usually go with a jungle priority pick here on the second one, but Malrang has already shown that he's so flexible. So if you just want to take away a power AD carry in the beginning, you could go for this composition. But there we go, adding his 4th different champion to the arsenal. Lee Sin for Malrang. Every game been playing a different one.
And Lee Sin, just such a strong jungler generally. We've seen already today how much impact the Dragon's Rage kick can have in late game, but also very strong in the early mid-game skirmishes as well. That 2v2 mid-jungle, Viktor, Lee, very, very powerful if they catch you out.
Yeah, I mean, it does need a bit after 6 usually, but also one thing to recognize is that this Lee Sin pick, we've already seen it once. It is a flex pick. nothing speaks to it so far that it is for sure going towards the jungle. But on the side of MAD Lions, they are just picking up one of the most powerful bot lanes, if not the most powerful bot lane at the moment in the Jinx. We've seen how good they are utilizing just getting bot lane plates at the beginning, take it up towards the top side. It is just one of these AD carry that gives you so much room to play with in the early, in the mid, and the late game.
And Unforgiven had a great performance on it last week as well. I think he went unkilled in the game that he played on that. Champion Jarvan, the final pick for Elyoya, is the a champion played by both of these junglers, so something they're both obviously very experienced on. Very strong early ganking power as well from the Jarvan.
Which is why a third Jhin pick here could be very dangerous. You get to ban away a few defensive supports as well, and it obviously can make it a little bit more volatile, but it also clearly speaks to the fact that this time around with Comp, he's only been playing Jinx so far. He's going to go on towards the Jhin. He's going to be a bit more facilitating, and with that, we might be looking at a bit more topside focused play. Remember, Rogue right now, they do have last pick if they want to utilize that for their topside. They can already counter the support on 4. So it's going to be interesting. MAD Lions, either in this ban phase, they want to take away some of the counters to a potential blind pick they have in their mind right now, or they're just going to be trying and take away some of the defensive supports to pair up with this Jinx, or Jhin rather, sorry.
Yeah. I think with the Jace getting banned away from Rogue, they're looking for a strong pick on the top side. And so you say a Jhin lane, not the easiest to keep ahead. Rakan taken away by MAD Lions. That is Trymbi's favorite champion this year, and I'm not too surprised by that ban. Of course, Rakan doesn't have the best laning phase into a Thresh, but Trymbi on Rakan in mid-late game just has so much setup for the rest of this team, with a curtain call, with a Lee Sin kick, with a gravity well coming out from the Viktor as well. You have this incredible AoE damage, and taking that off the cards by MAD Lions is a very smart move. Rogue, though, final ban will be the Orianna, so Reeker is going to have to look to something new. I don't expect him to play the Yasuo, which he played twice last week. Of course, can't play the Corki. I wonder where Reeker will go with his mid lane pick.
It's interesting because in the ERLs as well, Reeker has always been so versatile. In spring, he was mostly known for his melee champions that we saw. We've already seen what he can do in Yasuo. But towards the end of summer, he was known for playing his control mages to almost perfection in the ERL, almost finding an incredibly good movement around finding the edge of your abilities and kiting the opponents with this edge, just so he never took any damage. I don't expect to see a Lux slugged in here. It just, I think it might just be a little bit of a hover, just due to the fact that you have a very immobile bot lane then, and it might become a bit difficult to play against a Thresh and the Jarvan follow-up down towards the bot side. This would be exciting, but and it is going to be exciting. That is Trymbi literally as a support. When you see when you like playing Thresh yourself, you see them take it from you. You're like, I'm going to match you. I'm going to take the Blitzcrank, and I'm just going to be the better at hooking.
Yeah, the better hooker in the bot lane. Of course, Nautilus does the same thing, and it's about the Q timing. Blitzcrank and Nautilus's hooks, their Qs are slightly quicker than the Thresh hook. So Thresh locks himself in place. You're like, okay, I just sidestep your hook, and then I can immediately hook you myself. Ornn in the top lane for Armut with the ban on the Gwen. Nothing really that can punish that Ornn too heavily. Something like maybe the Gnar is something we've seen into Ornns in the past, but you really can't get through the beefy tank that is the Forge God himself. And there is the Ryze that we were talking about already, Guldborg.
And also one of Reeker's most played champion in summer. So there you go, comfort once again. And I gotta give it to MAD Lions. They're so good at creating fundamental good drafts in terms of, are we playing for 1-3-1? Are we playing for a teamfight composition? You already got your front line here, you got the repositioning with the Thresh, you got your AP damage dealer, you got your AD damage dealer. All in all, when we say easy to execute, I want you all to look at MAD Lions draft, and this is what we're talking about.
It's a barn door composition that you'd love to see in a solo queue game. There is Camille, final pick for Odoamne. Gives you a bit of backline threat, but will still struggle to make her way all the way through Ornn in that top lane. Having a look more holistically at these compositions, you've already hit me up with MAD Lions. You know, great front to back, great AD carry, great AP carry. What are we looking for from Rogue?
Well, it's a bit more interesting. I wouldn't say Rogue has the most easy to execute composition. Obviously, there's the pick potential in it, but you're looking to play around with the ground and then play with your two frontliners afterwards. I mean, it's interesting because I don't think they have the better team fighting. They scale obviously better on the side lanes with the Camille, but outside of that, if they fall behind against the composition of MAD Lions, they're gonna have a hard time. So for Rogue, they need to continue to show the early games they've shown so far, where they're able to take control over one lane and use that lane to just move around the map, and that's a lot of pressure on Malrang here.
And Malrang has had a very strong start to Spring Split. We'll see if MAD and Rogue will live up to the glory days past. 2021 was their year. Both of these teams had incredible performances. Let's see if they can keep it for 2022. And on to the Rift we jump. Of course, 2021 was the year of MAD Lions and Rogue. MAD won 2 LEC titles. Rogue got a 2nd place and a 3rd place. And it was almost this new developing rivalry between these two teams. Now, with the changes made coming into 2022, I think a few people wondered how strong they'd be, how well they'd be able to perform against each other. But historically, in the regular season, things have gone Rogue's way. In playoffs where it matters, MAD Lions have always won, but Rogue are the team with the advantage in these regular season matches.
But it also speaks to the two kind of teams that were in regular season. Rogue was almost a bit more, they're a bit more consistent, whereas MAD Lions, they always had their issues they were fighting through. Then when playoffs came around, that's when they finally got it together. And it's so interesting between these two teams because in 2021, we were all talking about Rogue in the beginning, and yes, they were a little bit boring, but they were doing something incredibly well, which was with their macro play. Then MAD Lions came around, and this team fighting style they brought into the league completely just shattered Rogue's philosophy of playing the game. And Rogue kind of had to go through evolution where they had to change their style now to come and conquer the likes of MAD. You were talking about a rivalry. I'm thinking about these two teams. I'm thinking they are rivals in our league.
Definitely agree with you there, Guldborg. And so far in 2022, MAD Lions have come out to a very strong early start. Although they did, of course, lose the game to SK in what was the clowniest of Fiesta late games with, 4 Elder Drakes, 3 Barons, 55 minutes or whatever. Cage will co-stream, apparently. I can't believe it happened. But they have had incredibly strong early games, and I wonder if that will continue today. MAD Lions first in gold difference at 14. MAD Lions first in KD at 14. MAD Lions first in a major lead across the course of the games, and Rogue are not too far behind generally.
No, that's the thing. Second in most of those stats. KD, yeah, 4th, that's fine. They're not too explosive here in the early game, but either way, it is just a testimony to what this team has done well so far. It is their early game where they usually get their leads, where they just snowball it out of control, and one of these teams are going to have to take the advantage this time around, and then it's going to be on to the other team to see if they can crawl back into it, either through team fighting. You would expect MAD Lions with their composition to have an easier time with it, but Rogue, they still have that pick, and Trymbi looking for the first one, but nice little sidestep by Unforgiven.
First hook you always miss, still a bit.
You get into their minds. Do you know when you did you ever have those smart boards? And, you're probably too old for this, but
no, I had smart boards. I'm not that old. Okay. Guldborg, thank you.
My point is, the teacher always had to calibrate them in the corners and spend a lot of time with it. That's kind of how it feels like being the support instead. You're kind of just like calibrating against the... I didn't know, okay? They came in fairly... in my Danish school, they came in fairly...
LEC cast as a full-time LEC member, and you flame me.
And it's not even Quickshot I did it to.
That's
the worst part.
Quickshot. Nah, I'm getting on in years, expecting grey to come through my beard. But early on here, what MAD Lions have done very well is keep tracks on Malrang. They got a ward over on towards the red buff to start it off. Then that ward from Unforgiven next to the Grump showed them that he was on the Grump at the time. Malrang now worked his way up towards the top side, has been able to avoid a little bit of vision, but nothing really going in the early game for the Rogue jungler.
And right now, Elyoya is just ahead of him on the clear as well. You can see Elyoya clearing out his Crocs right now. He can go for an instant reset, move up towards the top side, hover mid lane for the push out if that's what he's looking for. He can also go down towards the bottom lane, make sure they get the push in for free, but as the wave just collapses immediately, you can see backing up, and that does give him a little bit of a tempo advantage. It's not something that means a lot on the first clear, but if you're continuously able to just tempo faster than the opponent, you level up your camps faster, you get this little small gold lead, that's usually what we're talking about when we're talking about good competitive jungling, because you can't just go to a lane and just gank them. They won't die like solo queue. So getting these small tempo advantages, definitely nice to see. You can see both top junglers moving up towards the top side, so if a skirmish were to break out, they would have the advantage on MAD Lions.
Elyoya definitely has had a strong start to Spring. Highest in kill participation, highest in K+A at 14, so that's kills and assists combined at the 14-minute mark. Largest gold lead for any jungler in our league at the 14-minute mark as well. And a lot of that, of course, has been the Diana-Yasuo combination that they've used a couple of times, but also his ability to track the enemy jungler and the investment that the team puts into tracking the enemy jungler. Using wards early on, not in your lane, to get extra vision into the enemy jungle really costs you in your laning phase, but can set your jungler up so well.
Completely agree. The amount of times we've seen this guy just hover around the enemy jungler, make sure to come around before they know it. They've been super good at punishing, and this time around again, you know, Odo, he just saw his own jungler clear the red side. Now Elyoya is suddenly here to force him away from the wave.
Odo holding on to his flash here. Important to note, the Camille is not teleport ignite, it's teleport flash here for Odo. Perhaps understanding that he'd be playing a little bit on the weak side, needs that flash to get away from any possible ganks. Plate goes down for Armut. And again, Elyoya impacting the map without getting those kills. We talked about it in the G2 game. Sometimes you're just shadowing your lane, sometimes you're just helping your lane get a push out. That's exactly what Elyoya was doing there. If he got a kill on Odo, all well and good, but that wasn't the intent of that gank.
Exactly, it's just like, it's nice to have, but it's not a need to have in those situations. Now, moving down towards the bot side, his bot camp had just respawned. So he's just going to be clearing those up, and now looking on to Malrang. What can he do? Does he have any setup in any of his lanes? Right now it looks like no, there's a little bit of a MAD Lions bot lane pushing in. But with this, he's just going to be picking up a scuttle for himself. It's looking like might be on towards the Drake, but no, that's just a flag from the side of Elyoya that spotted it, and he's going to go for his own reset now.
This wave will push in towards MAD Lions bottom lane. Unforgiven and Kaiser should be able to catch it. Trymbi, though, stepping forward. Does have the hook, of course. It's Blitzcrank, but Rocket Grab not going to be invested. Malrang perhaps expecting a gank from Elyoya here.
Coming in with the push up here. Hook does connect, but it might be a bait.
There's the Lantern Comp's going to flash away, and Malrang is here and waiting. A great read, as you say, he will dash away. The hook! Trymbi, the God Hand, forces Elyoya's flash away. Root's going to land here on Kaiser as well, and Malrang dashing forward, dashing back. Will force the MAD Lions bot lane back.
And that was just a crazy sequence of events here. Trymbi, are you looking for more? No, there's no access to it. He's just going to clear out the wave. But what an incredible read once again from the side of Malrang, knowing that the Jarvan is looking for the bot lane while they're trying to shove it in. And once again, this was the nice to have. The need to have for you as a jungler here was just shadowing your bot lane, make sure they get to crash the lane. Yep. Then the fight broke out. And it was the nice to have that you were around trying to pick up the kill. Getting the summoner spells of the enemy jungler. No flashes burn actually on the MAD Lions Unforgiven and Kaiser, while Comp has lost his. So if you're coming down for return gank here, might actually be a little bit volatile on the side of Rogue.
Elyoya not having flash, though, does free up Odoamne to be more aggressive in the top lane if he wants to, because you know there's no EQ flash follow. You know, if you're just going to try and flash away. Also gives Larssen a little bit of safety in the mid lane. Death Ray was just shot for the hook! Is not! That was blind, and Trymbi picks up first blood.
You deserve that first blood, Trymbi, as well. It would have been better to give it to Larssen, but damn it, that was a brilliant blind hook. Obviously, there's not too many spots you can be hiding in that little bush, but he could have been recalled. And Trymbi, he took the chance. You miss on 100%. The hooks, you don't throw out.
It's very true. Very true. Trymbi, after calibrating, has found his mark, Guldborg. 2 hooks out of 2. Landing in quick succession. We'll have another look at this. So Reeker does go onto a control ward. I don't think there's any vision just around the corner here, but he just backs immediately.
There's no vision. They just know he's around the area, and wow, that's pretty cute skin.
It's pretty creepy is what it is. If a robot cat hooked you out of bed, you're just on your way to sleep, and he's like, nope, off you come.
It's cuter than a hairless cat.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare insult a Sphinx cat. My girlfriend has 2 of them for anyone at home that doesn't understand why Guldborg has now insulted both my honor and my relationship as the Rift Herald comes down in the top lane. Elyoya, though, looking for this push. Trymbi's here underneath the tower. Members on his way.
Now.
Odo there as well, as you say. 5 members there. Trymbi's going to flash away, but just not able to survive the hook. Instead, the Super Mega Death Rocket finds its mark. Rift Herald still taking out the tower. Malrang coming in as Odoamne. He's going to get the stun onto Armut. Can't call back the Forge God. Kaiser tanking the tower, which still stands. Larssen takes the kill. First time he's been involved before the 14-minute mark this game. He's got 2 of them now. as Larssen and Rogue are able to force Mad Lions away.
Yeah, TP down towards the bot side as well. Odo can pick up the farm that would have been lost. So once again, it's one of this reverse TP engine we see now. Instead of waiting in the lane and TPing up to the lane, you can no longer do that. So you just walk up to the lane, TP back to the lane you would have been in normally afterwards. But what a crazy sequence of events. And once again, these two teams, they keep coming in with a proactive movement from Mad Lions rather. But Rogue, they read it immediately, bring in their own 5 members. The gold lead actually right now in Rogue's favor. Trymbi.
Reeker's got no flash. Decides against the hook. But I do want to talk a little bit about how much Trymbi has been roaming around the map here, because something we had thought about and something we prepared to talk about today was how little time Kaiser spends with his bot lane. So if you look at the second stat here, that's bot isolated percent. So how long the bot laners on these teams are away from anyone else on the team. Unforgiven has 52% bot ISO percent. So we expected Kaiser to be the one roaming around and making the plays, but here it is, Trymbi with the hook, Chaos Storm, follow up. Trymbi has changed his playstyle for this Blitzcrank, and it is paying dividends.
Not only that, it's the entirety of Rogue, because usually it's just, let's play around comp, let's move him around the map, let's see what we can do. I say usually, it's been 1 week, but that's what we saw in week 1.
Yeah.
Here in week 2, completely different. You get comp on a facilitator, Trymbi matching the hook champion in the Thresh with his own Blitzcrank, and just completely outshining Kaiser right now, which is actually crazy.
Very strong performance so far by Trymbi, and as the game progresses and vision is denied, Blitzcrank becomes scarier and scarier. Interestingly though, Unforgiven still a gold lead. About 500 gold ahead of comp on this Jinx. Of course, the kill will help towards that mid lane, though. Look at how far Larssen is ahead. 1,200 gold, his advantage over Reeker.
It's day and night to the first week. I was actually really disappointed with the performance we saw from the side of Larssen, because despite his team, I'm just going to hold my tongue because Cataclysm comes through.
Hook's going to land. There's the box as well. And the Super Mega Death Rocket helps Elyoya pick up his first kill of the game.
So Trymbi getting caught off guard there a little bit. They did not have the priority around it. You can see Malrang, he's down towards the bottom side, picking up the first Drake from Rogue here. So back to a little bit of a late first Drake to come through. But it is just, once again, mid lane was pushed in, top lane was pushed in. This allowed Mad Lions to group around the camp respawn timers. So you're kind of creating your own objectives to fight for in these jungle camps. And this is what you'll see good teams do, or great teams rather, while good teams would only go for the Drake.
You can see as well, though, the Mad Lions with that kill and with the tower in the top lane, actually taking a small gold lead here. Guldborg about 800 gold ahead. Of course, the Dragon has intrinsic value that doesn't show up on the scoreboard, but a single Ocean Drake perhaps not the most valuable thing. Trymbi here, maybe baiting for Malrang as he walks away from the bush. Trymbi will be spotted. Malrang also just at the edge of the Scryer's bloom, and Larssen pushes in the mid wave, gets himself another plate. Sitting very pretty now. 125 CS, 2 kills on this Viktor. Should almost be up towards his second upgrade. So Death Ray plus probably the Q on that Viktor.
Yeah, so they don't really have too many tank killers. Yes, you have the Camille, but like that's more of a side lane. It's hard for her to be a tank killer in a team fight. So you can see Larssen opted in. Okay,
he
actually
blocks,
stopped it!
Blocks the flag and drag, and you can't get away from the cage. Odoamne locks Elyoya in place.
Great uses of abilities there from Odo. Stops the flag and drag, keeps him in place for the Lantern, and for Trymbi to pick it up afterwards. Now, down towards the bottom lane, what can they get? Unforgiven is completely isolated. Malrang does still have the kick.
So the question is, do you just catch the wave or do you go for the dive? Trymbi starting off the dive. No wave here for Rogue to push in. Comp on his way. Hook goes wide. Malrang with the kick. Deadly Flourish doesn't connect. There's the Lantern. Malrang. Oh my. Oh, it's a comedy of errors. I mean, Unforgiven, you played it really well. Round of applause. But Rogue, what the flip was that?
Oh yeah, that is definitely not what they were looking for there. They came in with the man advantage. Unforgiven did still have flash, but he held it even when he saw Trymbi's hook. So that's the one player that Trymbi has been struggling to connect a little bit with. It is comp.
The thing is, Malrang jumps in, you kick, then you hook, and it's a guaranteed connection. Instead, they tried to hook, then Malrang goes in and kicks, then the flourish misses. Like,
you know, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong because you are completely right, but Rogue definitely slowing down that momentum a little bit after finding a good play in the mid lane.
And of course, good credit to Unforgiven. As we said, only used the heal to get away from that gank. It looked, for all intents and purposes, like he was a goner, but he continues to go unkilled on this Jinx through 2 games. And now with the Gale Force, even more opportunity to dodge away from the hook. And as much as Rogue have had the plethora of kills that they have in this early game and that Drake, they are now over 1,000 gold behind Guldborg.
They definitely are. Right now, Rift Herald is available. You have the advantage in your AD carry as well because you're talking about that gold difference. It's sitting right there. Gale Force completed for the Jinx. Jhin still lacking. But the thing is, if you start off the Herald, then Viktor has the TP. Reeker currently does not, but MAD Lions looking for Trymbi again.
Yeah, Trymbi can flash hook across here in the Cataclysm. Oh, you put up the walls that divide you from your team. Malrang, though, has to flash away. Super Mega Death Rocket will find its mark. Unforgiven gets excited.
Kaiser.
Chaos Storm still ticking onto Kaiser. Comp doesn't need to do any more. Killing spree now for Larssen.
Yeah, the burn from Leandre's on Anguish coming in clutch there, and he can continue his terror down on this turret, picking up first out of turret here from the side of Rogue, so they are definitely still keeping themselves in this game.
And it feels like it's become a battle between Larssen and Unforgiven.
Oh,
Unforgiven,
yeah.
7,000 gold, 301. Larssen, 6,700 gold, 302. Which one of these players survives for longer in a fight? Because whoever does should be able to win the fight for their team.
Yeah, you're completely right. I mean, there's a bit of more self-heal in the Viktor due to him getting some movement speed for himself. His ability slows, but the team composition around side the Jinx, so he's going to do a lot. As we take a look onto the replay, a knock-up from Trymbi into the flash, into the hook, into the silence. And it's just completely stopping them from getting access to the Lantern. Then the rest of MAD Lions, they're a bit too far forward. Kaiser dies out to the last tick of the Chaos Storm. Ari comes in together with the Leander's Anguish, and it nets them a first turret. Drake spawning in 45 seconds, so might even get a fight before we know it. Unforgiven does have flash.
And has Gale Force. Very short cooldown, 40 seconds on the Gale Force means that he can use that with impunity, just dodging away from any of these. And it looks like Rogue actually going to start up the Rift Herald themselves. Ward on this is about to expire. They will know from the fragments left behind, from the rubble left behind, that it was warded by MAD. And MAD, you can see, starting to get some pings over towards where the blue buff once was. Malrang should be able to secure this, but it actually looks like Elyoya might have something to say about it.
Yeah, we might get a little bit of a cross map here in this situation right now because you can see the rest of MAD Lions, they're already moving themselves down towards the bot side. They pushed in the mid just to get a little bit of extra access to the Drake, while now the rest of them with the Herald from Rogue can actually match this pressure with their own Rift Herald. So we keep getting to a point where these two teams just have different ways to attack. MAD Lions watches Rogue take the Herald. All right, let's get the bot side priority. Let's see if we can get some access through the bottom side. Now Rogue, they want to come in through the mid lane. They get their turn. Wave in League of Legends, they kind of work like a pendulum.
Okay.
Once the pendulum is at your opponent's side, that means you have time to move around. But you know the pendulum will always come back to you, and that's where the opponent has time. So you need to play around with these pendulum timers we get in League.
I love Pendulum. Hold Your Color, I think, my favorite album of theirs. Really good song.
I don't know a band called Pendulum.
How do you not know Pendulum?
Is it a UK band?
No, they're Australian, I think. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Oh, Hysterics would be so disappointed in me.
They're really good band. You should listen to them. Anyway, Rogue, though, they navigated the pendulous nature of the Rift and got their second dragon of the game with that Cloud. They also have the Rift Herald, so net neutral gain there for them of 2 objectives. MAD Lions weren't really able to get too much more out of the map apart from just pushing out that bottom way.
It's actually very interesting because I thought for sure we were going to be trading sides of the map there. I thought Rogue was going to be making their way up towards the top side, deploy the Rift Herald, see if they could go for tier 2. But as you said yourself now, Rogue, they were able to pick it up. But now 5 members of Rogue is down towards the bottom side and Realm Warp comes out.
But look at the damage already out of Larssen. Reeker almost down. Larssen, though, can he get away from the Ornn? Dodges away from the Super Mega Death Rocket. Rogue now on the back foot, retreating back to their tower. Odoamne will flash. Larssen got out alive.
So TP burned as well in that instance, so you don't lose too much. Yes, flash burn from Armut, flash burn from Reeker, but flash is also burned from the side of Odo and from Larssen with the TP as well. Odo, though, still sticking around. He is spotted on a ward, so Armut, he should be respecting this.
Armut doesn't know the Trymbi's here. TP coming in from Reeker, and perhaps Reeker's going to be in a bad shape as well. No. Odo survives for a long, long time, but you can't survive the Rogue gank squad. 2 quick kills over to Odo.
Reeker, unfortunately, can't cancel that TP. We're no longer back in the day where that worked. And therefore, 2 kills over to the side of Rogue. Once again, he was spotted on a ward, Odo. They knew he was coming, but they still opted in for the play. They tried to bait it, and Odo now 4-0 on the Camille, 450 goal shutdown if they can pick him up.
He's in such a strong position on this Camille, having a very strong performance. Previously, last year, very much a weak side player here. Some time and resources were invested into him in the early game. And he is very powerful right now. Armut has the Thimble Winter complete alongside the Turbo Chem Tank, but the Ornn can only do so much. You can only call on so many gods in a fight to try and sway it your way. And for the moment, the gods seem to be siding with Rogue.
Just for now, we are talking about just about 1 to 2k gold lead here from the side of Rogues. That this game definitely still in anyone's favor, but obviously right now it is in Rogues. But what I'm trying to say is that you do still have the team fight composition, the ease of execution later from MAD Lions once this Jinx finally picks up her third item. Once Reeker gets going a little bit, because he's been shut down completely, you do still have a way to front to back these team fights. But Larssen right now, definitely your biggest worries. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulder to create space. Trymbi in a very good spot here.
Lands the hook onto Elyoya. Larssen with the chase down. Look at the burst! Holy moly, that's a lot of damage coming out of Larssen, and immediately they turn their eyes towards the Baron. Looks like Larssen can reset and TP in here. Rogue, the vision control is sublime from them, but there is a single ward there for MAD Lions.
This can still be dangerous if they're all crammed up in the pit. There's still ultimates on Armut, there's still ultimate on Unforgiven. So they can still try and fight this one if they want to from the side of MAD Lions, but right now they barely have any vision. Here's the call of the Forge Guard.
Trymbi misses the hook. Call of the Forge Guard will come back, but Comp and Larssen still able to survive. Kaiser looking to get into that pit. Look at the damage though onto Armut. He's already down. Comp takes him. Trymbi low. Malrang's killed. Both the junglers now dead as Odoamne tries to get onto the backline, but with the Realm Warp, Reeker will escape Rogue back away from the Baron. Unforgiven zap! Oh, just can't quite catch the tail of Trymbi.
All things considered, that's not too bad from the side of MAD Lions. You take a 1-for-1 trade, you stop them from doing the Baron, and you make them reset. Well, you just can take a breather for yourself here. So Rogue, it was looking like a good play, but it failed a bit in the execution.
Just couldn't quite find the way to stop the call of the Forge God. And this is a great pick, you know, from Trymbi. And what I like from Rogue is how proactive they were after finding this pick and calling for the Baron.
I honestly love that Trymbi know they can burst this Jarvan as well, because maybe if it would have been me, honestly, I would have hooked the Thresh. I would have been like, okay, no lanterns then, I can take care of it. Going on towards the enemy jungle immediately was a super solid play. And this is where it becomes a bit disjointed. You can see 3 people on the left side while Malrang takes the decision to try and go on towards the side of the Thresh here. But the burst damage just isn't there to facilitate the follow-up, and the flash over a finicky wall here is making the teamfight even harder from the side of Rogue. If Larssen had had flash in that teamfight, maybe they all would have been wiped. But the sad reality for Rogue fans is that he didn't, and MAD Lions, they crawled their way back into it with their stellar team fighting.
He said it very well as well. The ultimates weren't there for Rogue. You didn't have a Chaos Storm.
Oh, Armut, nice.
That is so well timed. Armut now.
This could be huge.
In the Ram, dodges by Odoamne. Cataclysm coming out as well. There's a hook onto Odo, but the chase is on from Rogue as they push in from the bottom side. Shut down onto Odo. Armut ticking away with the Chaos Storms. The curtains open. Reeker hit by 1. Unforgiven the second. Elyoya the third. And Unforgiven the 4th. Not any substantial damage found by Comp.
And once again, Rogue was split. There was one on towards the ramp into the mid lane. There was one coming through the choke point between the blue buff. They're just able to find them. And MAD Lions, how are you going to go for this one? You're crazy. Jungler is still alive. And Malrang, they're going to try and force the Baron. They have to turn this one. They can't 50-50 against Malrang. I refuse to believe it.
Trymbi can look for the hook here as well. No Chaos Storm available for Larssen. Unforgiven has the Super Mega Death Rocket. Reeker has the Realm Warp if he wants to get onto the back line. Rogue stepping in, Armut tanking. So is Elyoya, and look at him. Down to about 600 HP. Reeker, flash, forward, Larssen with the stopwatch. TP immediately from Odoamne as they look to try and take on this fight. Trymbi gets into the front line, lands the knockup. Comp on a killing spree now, and Unforgiven. Oh no, he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Malrang finds the flank, Odoamne caught him out. Reeker down, MAD Lions down. Elyoya chased out by his enemy man, and only Armut here standing. Not for long, says Trymbi. Another hook connects, and Rogue wipe it in the river.
There we have it. MAD Lions, they get too confident around the Baron here, and they wait too long. Odo's TP comes back up. Because of this, you're able to turn the fight around. The HP bars are low. They've been tanking up the Baron. They're having the debuff. And when the rest of the members of Rogue finally comes in, it's just too late. They tried to bait a 50-50. But Rogue, they're just too patient about it. You can see they're too afraid to burst down the Baron because they know Malrang is on the other side of the wall. And the one target Reeker flashes for is the one with a stasis ability, not letting any resets come through from the Jinx. And once Unforgiven flashes in towards the backline, the way that the Camille ultimate scatters the rest of MAD just seals the deal for Rogue. And they're able to pick up the team fight, they were able to pick up the kills, and they're able to pick up the Baron.
And Odoamne with a great sense there to pick up Unforgiven, and what a kill to hit your 1000th LEC kill. Now, I will stress, he's died more than he's got kills.
Don't mention
so
that.
He's still an Inter, but he's played really well overall, of course. A long and storied career, Odoamne, as he hits 1,000 kills in the LEC.
That is the weak side king, you know, he's been soaking a lot of pressure. This time around, doesn't really feel like it. 5-1 on the Camille. Definitely a good way to get your 1000th anniversary kill.
Now, Larssen caught out a little bit here, does still have the flash. Malrang's going to kick Elyoya away, joins up in the Cataclysm here in the root with the Everfrost. Keeps Malrang in the spot for the moment, pops his stopwatch. Court finds a couple of marks, but Rogue still able to back away. Trymbi. Yeah, Armut's not really the target you want to hook in, but he will do it. He gets Armut down to about half HP, and Armut has to flash away on the Ornn, which is never a good sign for MAD Lions. Rogue continue their advance, looking for a tier 2 in this bottom lane. They have a 5,000 gold lead. They have 3 Drakes to none. And they are in a strong position with 1.5 minutes left on this Baron.
Yeah, just look at the wave states medic here. They pick up the bot lane turret. They can move up to the mid lane where there's been stacked wave by comp here. You were mentioning cohesiveness between the great teams we have here in our league when they set up these sieges with the Baron buff, and right now Rogue, they're playing it down to a T. Try and look for any respawning jungle camps right now. Doesn't seem like there is any. And resets are just going to be coming through. They can try and expand their lead. They can look towards the last Drake in just 3 minutes. Or they can just try and find the finishing touches after their resets. MAD Lions seems like they lost the momentum of this game after that Baron call.
Definitely agree with you there, Guldborg. And I think if you're a Rogue fan as well, this is very encouraging to see. After week 1, they had good performances in week 1. I'm not going to take it away from them, but they did play Astralis, SK, and Misfits. So it wasn't like the toughest opposition that they could have faced. However, taking down the reigning LEC champions in the form of MAD Lions, although, of course, MAD Lions have changed things around a little bit, is still a very encouraging sign. And then moving forward in the week, you have to think that this Rogue is looking like at least a top 5 contender, if not a top 3 contender come the end of the regular season.
And the other thing is they don't feel slow anymore either. It feels like there's always a focus on towards the objective or picking up a fight afterwards. Honestly, it's still too early to say like, oh, Rogue is a complete new team,
100%.
but it's new players that's coming in. And this new Thresh breath air, or this new fresh air, is really showing on the side of Rogue. And I think Malrang, his way of reading the map in the early game, phenomenal for setting up his lane as you're taking a look onto the laners right now. 3-0 on the AD carry, 4-0 on the side of Larssen, and 5-1 on the Camille. Now looking on towards the last tier 2 turret in the top lane, they should just be able to take this one with their siege.
Malrang's going to push forward Kaiser here as well. Trymbi's hooked down for a second, I believe, but they're going to get some damage down onto that Ornn, who's hooked back and caught out. Odoamne now on the back line. Curtains open as Odoamne pops the stopwatch. The tower down to about 3rd HP. Odoamne will fall to Unforgiven. Actually, Reeker gets it. Reset's coming out. Trymbi still looking for a hook, fishing for a catch off towards the side here.
He does have the flash, but there's a ward that can spot them out here, and yeah. They're all respecting Trymbi's hooks at this point. Either way, 1-for-1 trade. Shutdown, I believe, did go over to the side of Matt by picking up Odo on that Camille there. But you can still take a look at the gold right now. Look at Odo gold compared to the
4,000 gold ahead. And you don't often see a tank melt like this.
No, that's the thing. Look at the patient as well. Trymbi, he's waiting to the hook until the W from the Ornn has come out to make sure that the CC won't come through. League of stopwatches as well. Odo there with the 3rd stopwatch of Rogue in a team fight. But maybe a bit too overconfident from the side of the Rogue top lane. Either way, they do still pick up the turret and they get out with the rest of the members alive.
And still a 7,000 gold lead here for Rogue with Mountain Drake up in a minute time. It would be soul for them if they can secure it. And they're in a very strong position to do it. I'm loving the synergy we're seeing between Malrang and Trymbi this game. They always seem to be on the same page. And listening actually to the Rogue voice comms over the week, it feels like those guys are the key communicators. I know a few people had worries about Malrang when, you know, Korean imports in the LEC don't have an incredibly good track record. But he seems to be very on point with his ability to communicate in English and very on point with how he and Trymbi want to set up the map.
Yeah, just to give a little bit of context, they initially said, all right, you can do English lessons every 2nd day, but he requested he did it every day so he could just get the English at the point he needed. So not only is he working hard just in terms of gameplay, he's also outside of the game making an effort to make sure he's the best possible player here for Rogue. Trymbi trying to look for a hook, posturing up for it, but a lot of members of MAD Lions is around. Odo now comes in with a TP, but right now, priority around the Drake is set up for MAD Lions, but take a look towards the bot side. Malrang is waiting. He is unspotted. There is flashes up from the side of Reeker and Unforgiven, but they can try and look for a play here.
honestly surprised by the TP from Odoamne. I thought he could have pushed another way. There's curtain call coming out. Who are you going to go for, Malrang? Is it Kaiser? Is it Armut? Is it anyone?
They still don't know. They don't know, Medic.
Still waiting.
They don't know.
Unforgiven! Welcome to the party! Unforgiven gets dunked by Larssen. Cataclysm doing whatever it can, but Larssen, he just melts them with the Chaos Storm. Reeker trying to get out, but all he can do is go to his own funeral. Rogue wipe mad.
They didn't know, Medic. And Malrang finds a beautiful kick. Not looking like they want to go for the end of that one. Death timers are still fairly long, but they're going to be picking up the neutral objective. They're going to be picking up the mountain soul for themselves, but screw that. Let's take a look at this once again. And Malrang, even despite with the curtain call coming out, he's still waiting. There's no reason to go for him for this time. And look at Unforgiven. Wait for him to start the sap. That's why he can't do anything. There the sap come through into Odo immediately, into the Chaos Storm of Larssen. And despite a good teamfight composition on the side of MAD Lions, what can you do when your AD carry has suddenly been turned into the frontliner, just absolutely evaporated in the river?
And that's the thing, like, Reeker is not strong. He's got Everfrost, Zhonya's, and the Seraphs complete. If you can kill Unforgiven, you kill the DPS. And Reeker just not in a position really where he can put out as much damage as you'd like on this Ryze. He's had a bit of a struggle of a game. Of course, he's about 10,000 gold now, but Rogue so much stronger than that across the board. 10,000 gold, the lead for Rogue. 2.5 minutes on this Baron, a mountain soul for them as well. And you have to expect that Rogue will methodically try and finish this one off.
It's still a little bit of a dangerous spot, right? Because there are still 3 items on the side of the Jinx, which is something you cannot underestimate. When you don't have the strongest tanks, right now the biggest worry for MAD Lions is that their AP damage is just not coming through from Reeker. He's so far behind. He's opted in for the Everfrost. Archangel is winning. He's got a Sonya's as well for the defensives. It's just not giving you enough in the offensive. So finding that perfect team fight from MAD Lions, that's going to take a lot. You can see they've been struggling. And reaching the backline of Larssen will be almost impossible. Look at his build right now. 4 items, Rapidon's death cap. His AP must be through the roof. If you get in a team fight with this guy, it's going to be a very dire situation.
Bounties are online for MAD if Reeker wants to continue that push off towards the tier 2 in the top lane. Looks like MAD Lions willing just to give up this inhibitor, but that's a double cannon wave. And Reeker might have to get this recall off. He's going to start it up, but 2 cannons against the Nexus Tower as well. It's going to be won by Rogue if they can continue to get some damage down here. Half HP off that tier 1, that Nexus Tower, that first tower. Cannon minions continue to rattle away, and there we go. First Nexus Tower down. MAD Lions to find it, defending. 5 strong, trying to defy the odds and find a win in this next team fight. Armut already down to about the 2/3 HP. Rogue wait for the next wave. Super minions on their way, but about 30 seconds away. Call of the Forge God coming out. Curtain's call, as you say. Armut, he missed the curtain call, and Odoamne just takes him out. Reeker now tries to get the Evercross across the back line. Cataclysm coming out as well, but Rogue, they just stomp him. They just walk over them. They slap him in the face with their wallets, say, here's a $1 bill, take that. And they get the double for Odoamne. Nexus Towers can be their target, but instead Unforgiven, not forgotten by Rogue. On the fountain, he dies, gets himself a double to round out the KDA. But Rogue, with a demolition, a domination, a destruction of the MAD Lions.
There we have it. Happy faces. You can see it on Trymbi. He enjoyed that game. Malrang smiles all around the board, except Odo. He's as calm as he usually is. We don't get too much emotion outside of him all the time. But either way, Rogue really solidifying themselves as a topside team. And there is a smile. Incredible. Beautiful. Rogue conquering their demons, out team fighting MAD Lions, a team they're often compared to last split. And I believe tying the head-to-head they have with them right now to a 12-12.
12-12 all round between these two teams. Of course, Rogue have been the superior team in the regular season and lost in playoffs. But if you think one of these players was a superior player on the Rift, you can vote for them in our Kia Player of the Game at LEC on Twitter. Odoamne, Larssen, and Comp are your options.
For Trymbi, man. These hooks as well, honestly, they're beautiful.
Guys, honestly, guys. Trymbi, great. I think, here's the thing, right? I think if you base this player of the game on difference to week 1, I think it has to go to Larssen.
Yes,
because he was non-existent in week 1.
I don't even know what to compare that to. You're comparing a first grader to a university student, like.
Yeah, but you realize is not a new player. It's just Larssen.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I
he's
guess
the same
that's
guy
true.
he was last week. It's like
guess
comparing a
that's true.
bad university student to the same university student next week who got straight A's, you know?
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I completely agree. He had a phenomenal performance on the Viktor, finally showing why they had so much priority around it, because last week they kept picking it, and I just couldn't boggle my mind around it, but this time around they show why it's so strong on him.
Yeah, and I think even last week, like, he was okay in the mid game to late game. It's just this early game really wasn't
for
there,
sure,
and that's
for
obviously
sure.
how Rogue decided to play. Today, they tie Fnatic's undefeated at the top of the table, and Laure is joined by Larssen to talk about the successful start to the season with Odoamne joining us in PGL later. Odo!
Thank you, guys. And Larssen, thank you so much for joining me after this game. Congrats on the 4-0 for Rogue so far. The guys were talking about your performance, actually, compared to week 1 and the impact you had on the early game this time around. What was different for you, Larssen?
I mean, not much was different. Like, it's just best of ones. Anything can happen, right? Like, it's like some games you can pop off and some games you won't pop off. That's just how it is. It's just like best of ones. It's very hard to like pop off in every game or something.
Sure.
I mean, they did some interesting comment that was like non-existent week 1. That was like interesting comment.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna go too deep into that. I mean, it's just another game. Nothing was different from last week. I guess I'm just very lucky to get my hands on Viktor every game, because I'm kind of like a scaling guy. I can only play mages and only scale, so I'm very lucky that they give me Viktor, because the kind of only champ I can play, I think. So.
Jokes aside, you did really well, Larssen, honestly, and especially on Viktor, a champion you like so much, which is one of the best champions, I want to say, on the mid lane right now, alongside LeBlanc. But it doesn't feel like the mid lane is at the same state as it was a couple months back. Do you have any thoughts on that and your role right now within the meta and how the game is played?
Could you repeat the question? I can.
Okay. I just want to talk about the state of the mid lane as it is, the fact that you have a domination of Viktor and LeBlanc right now, and I want to have your thoughts on how this role has evolved compared to last year.
I mean, it's changed a lot, right, since the TP changes. TP changes made it a lot more scaling. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned LeBlanc Viktor, but it's also Corki, right? Corki is super high power in every region. So Viktor and Corki is like just very, very scaling, right? So I think the TP changes has made it more of a scaling role, because before you could like TP bot, TP top, dive bot, or TP behind the enemy bot and kill them. So early game was better. Now the meta is more late game because of this TP nerf, because it's harder to like abuse the silence. So definitely it's a lot of scaling right now, which I said is very lucky for me.
All right. Well, you say lucky. You mentioned this twice during the interview, so I'm sorry, but I have to follow up on that, because during the first answer you gave me, I could sense you had some stuff you wanted to say. So is there anything you want to prove to people this year in your role with Rogue? And yeah, it feels like you want to prove people wrong. So is there anything you want to comment on that maybe?
No, not really. I will just let the gameplay on the Rift talk. That's kind of the only thing I can do, right? So
yeah. And it shows so far. I want to say 4-0 for Rogue. And I do also want to add that you've been a very exciting team to watch with the addition of Comp and Malrang in the jungle. How has it been working with these two guys?
It's really great. I think this year is going to be really fun for me, because we have a nice team atmosphere, and I think we can improve together, and I will have a bit more of a important role, because last year we had Hans and Inspired was demanding players, but super good players, right? So it makes sense that they were demanding. They should get resources because they are very good players. Now it has changed a bit. I think I can have a more of a proactive role and a more demanding role, where I can be a bit more of a carry, right? So I'm very much looking forward to it with this new team, and it's going really good so far, honestly.
Rogue time, overrated, new team activated. Larssen, thank you so much for this interview. Congrats again on the 4-0. We'll see you tomorrow on the Rift. And thanks for the interview again. We're going to take a quick break now, and we'll be back in a couple minutes for the post-game lobby with Odoamne. Stay tuned, guys.